In this video, I'm going to show you how to install the Bowl-Tronics Astro Infrared Foul Conversion, product ID AFC-1. The kit consists of a main PCB, new optics and a new optic bracket, new reflectors, reflector hardware, new 304 bulbs, a wire nut, and 2 rivets. It's important that you utilize the reflectors and the bulbs, that they will help make the actual unit function properly. Some of the tools that you're going to need are a pair of angle cutters, wire strippers, pliers, 5/32 nut driver, a Phillips screwdriver, a pair of needle nose vice grips, and a rivet tool that has a bit size of 5/64 to 3/64 or 3/32. Alright, first thing you want to do is inspect the unit to make sure that the unit is in pretty decent shape. The first thing you want to look at is the PC connector. Make sure that it has no cracks in it and that all the pins on the actual PC connector are attached to the PC connector and not broken. Another thing you want to check is to make sure your indicator light wires are in good shape. Each of them you want to give a little tug to make sure the wires are connected to the socket. Make sure that there aren't any frays or cuts in the actual wires, because if you do short these out, it could damage the board. Okay, first thing you want to start out with is cutting the wires that are going to the light source socket. Usually there's Molex connectors on the units, but on this one it's been hardwired. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut the wires like so. Remove the socket, won't need it anymore. Next step is you want to unscrew the old optic head. Pull that apart and actually cut the photocell wires right at the photocells, which should be a granny yellow and a gray and a purple. Put that off to the side. You don't need that anymore. You won't need the screw that holds it either. Okay, next thing you want to do is actually cut the wires going to the photocells. Because they will not be, or the wires that are going to the PC connector, excuse me, and cut them right at the PC connector. Be careful not to cut any other wires or damage the actual pins that are on the PC connector. Next thing you want to do is you want to remove this cable. This is the dormant cable, so that on the old Astro unit you could dormant one side to make a single. Since you're converting it to infrared, you can't use this cable anymore. If you need to make a single, just when placing the order, let us know, and we give you a fiber optic tube that goes inside the actual optic tube so that it'll dormant that side that you need. So first you want to cut off these wire ties. You don't need those anymore. Some of the older units too have this actual cable on the bottom of the unit. If it's on the bottom, just leave it, because it's out of the way and it's not really necessary to remove. So there's a white and black wire, a white and yellow wire, and a white and gray. The white and yellow and white and black are on the PC connector right here. The white and yellow is this wire, and the white and black is this wire. Cut those right at the circuit connector and pull them through. Excuse me. Oh, I missed one of the purple wires from the photo cell. Okay, then you have a gray or white with gray stripe wire that was from that light source cable. You can actually cut that off right at the circuit connector. So what you'll have left are your indicator lights and a white with a blue stripe and a white with a gray stripe. Now to remove these two wires, you're going to have to remove the bottom cover. So let's do that next. Let's get rid of these wire ties that are on here. So, use your Phillips screwdriver to remove whatever screw is there. Alright. Sometimes the units that you might have will be loaded with dust and dirt, and it's pretty important for you to actually take this thing to an air compressor and completely blow it out and make sure it's clean, and clean out the cover. Put the cover on the side and utilize that later. Now the white with the blue stripe wire is the wire that goes to the 2.7 volt connection on the transformer. So if you pull this wire out, you'll notice it comes right through, and then you can actually either pull it through or cut it. It just broke off, so don't need to cut it. And then just pull this wire out. Don't need that. And then as far as this, the white with the gray wire, that's connected to the common of the transformer. Now one of them is going to be kept and one of them isn't. Now you can tell by slightly tugging on the wire which wire is the wire that you don't need, and it'll pull right through. And it's only really necessary to cut this wire right at the wire tie. You can cut it at the terminal of the transformer, but it's easier just to cut it there and push that back in there. So now we got all the wires cut off the top and it's nice and clean. Next step will be the wires going to this resistor pack. Some of them have 4 wires going to them and some of them have 3. This unit has 3. What you're going to want to do anyways is you're going to want to remove any of the wires that are going to this, or I should say all of them that are going to this resistor pack, and remove them completely from it. So what you'll have is these 3 wires, and sometimes, like I said, 4. And what you do is you'll cut these. Sometimes you need to remove that wire tie to give yourself a little more room to twist these wires together. Strip them. And you're going to twist all these wires together. And you're going to utilize the orange wire nut that came with the kit. So all 3 of those wires are tied together now and just shoved back into the unit. Another quick thing you want to do while you have everything out is visually inspect to make sure your transformer and your buzzer are in good shape. Look at this buzzer is loose, so what you want to do is tighten that buzzer down. Use your 5/32 nut driver to make sure the transformer screws are tight. Visually inspect the wires going to each terminal on the transformer to make sure there isn't any broken wires or cold solder joints. Flip the unit over. Again, inspect the secondary or the primary wires going to it, making sure that the terminal connections are good to the wires. Inspect the power cable or the power connector, the Amphenol connector, to make sure that it's in good shape, it's not cracked or broken, or the wires that are coming from the transformer aren't soldered properly or been cut. This one's in good shape. Check the fuse housing nut. Make sure that it's tight. If it's loose, just take some pliers and snug it up. Okay. Another thing you might want to do is sometimes you need to bend the frame so that it's flat again, because these things get pretty beat up. This tab here is what's used to hold the original aluminum cover that came with the Astro Tele-Foul. A lot of units don't have that cover anymore, but if you do, it's great to utilize it because it will protect the board underneath. And what you want to do is make sure it's flat and straight across. Next step is I usually put the indicator lights on the unit here just to get them out of my way. Make sure that this part of the actual unit is straight across and it's flat and it's bent perpendicular to the actual plate of the foul unit. Okay, you're going to grab the kit, the PCB assembly. You're going to remove these cap nuts that are on here, and you're going to save these because you're going to utilize these later. Just set them over here. Okay, now with this kit comes a little L bracket with a 832 3/8 screw. This actual bracket is meant for if you have the old aluminum cover, you would cut the tabs off the front of the original cover and then punch a 3/16 hole into the cover or drill it, and then you would slide the cover in and then you would attach the cover to this little L bracket. Since this unit didn't have a cover, it is really not necessary to use this L bracket. So you can put that on the side. Next step is mounting this bracket to the actual foul unit. I'm going to bend that a little bit in so that's flush up against there. You want this back plate and this to be completely flush, and it's pushed back as far as it'll go so that it's nice and even. Okay, after you do that, you can use your vice grips to hold down the bracket. You can use a piece of plastic so that you don't mar up the bracket. If you do mar up the bracket, it isn't going to really hurt it. It just won't look very nice. And then you're going to take your vice grips and make sure that it's pretty even between the plate and that it's perpendicular with the actual foul unit. So you have a nice 90-degree angle there. You're going to crimp that down, and you want to make sure that it's even there and even there, that it's not crooked in any way. And then what you're going to want to do is you want to drill this out, these two holes, with a 1/8 inch drill bit, which I will go do right now. Okay, so we drilled out the holes to 1/8 inch. I used a deburring tool to get rid of some of the metal filings off the back so that the rivet can sit flush. You can use, if you don't have a deburring tool, you can use a large bit in order to get rid of those, like a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 inch bit, something large so that it can get rid of the burring on the back of the unit. And you're going to take the rivets that came with the kit, put them into the rivet gun. Now if you don't have a rivet gun, you can use just regular like 632 screws and nuts to hold the plate on. We like to use rivets because this foul unit gets a lot of abuse and vibration, and with rivets you never have to worry about anything loosening. So you're going to put the rivet into the unit. Grab the other one. There. Now that optic bracket is pretty much part of the foul unit now. It's never going to come off. And that's what you want. Next step is the screw that held the little L bracket. You can put that back on as another means of holding on the bracket. It's not really necessary, but since it's there, might as well use it. Tighten that down. The next step is going to be putting on the board. And what you want to do is put your optics out to the side like that. Grab your PCB board and find the right optic. This is the right side, left side. So the right optic, this is it. You're going to fold the wires underneath the board, kind of smash them down with your thumb. Push the board in. Now, a lot of the units have the tabs that hold the board in from the original file unit, and then the older units have screws or screw holes where you can actually take a 632. I actually prefer those to actually hold the board in because it does a better job, whereas this type unit, you use these little tabs that are underneath to kind of push and hold the board in. So what I do is I kind of pry out the tab a little bit so it fits just under the hole, and then basically pop it into place. You almost hear it kind of snap into place. Sometimes it takes a little while to adjust them. Hear that? Now the board's in pretty good. Now sometimes after shipping, if there were units that were put together, or after time, this can actually pop up. It is okay to put a wire tie over this if you want, but just make sure that when you do put the wire tie, put it over this part of the board, not over the components. And you're going to put your optics like that. You're going to bring the cable, you're going to kind of pull it, and you have some room underneath there so the cable will come out. You're going to probably put about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch into the slot of the PC connector, fold it in like that, and mount the optic to the bracket. Put the hardware on that came off the actual optic bracket in the kit. Now, it's adjustable up and down, depending on your approach and the way that your lane is set up. I usually just start in the center to where the optic tube is right in the middle and just tighten that down like that. You want to do the same for the other. Put the wire through the PC connector right there like that. Pop the optic in. Put your hardware on. Okay. What I like to do is actually put the indicator lights on the front of the unit. So that they're kind of out of the way and it's easier when you need to test the unit. Take the bulbs that were supplied with the kit, make sure they're the 304 bulb that you put into the unit. If you use a 90 bulb, it's way too bright and it could cause the actual unit to malfunction. So make sure you use the 304 bulb. Okay, everything looks good. Now it's up to you. You can put the cover back on, which I'm not going to do because I always like to test the unit first before I put the cover back on. You know how many times I've done this before and something was wrong with it and I had to take the cover back off. So I'm going to go test the unit right now, make sure everything works, and I'll be back. Okay, great. The unit tested out great. Everything worked. Just want to make sure when you test it that your optic alignment LEDs are lit. You're going to test each side, make sure the indicators each light. So when everything tests out good, you're going to want to put the cover back on it. Now, the screws that were on this cover weren't the original screws, and they didn't work too good. So if you have any like sheet metal screws that are number 6, they work pretty good as far as, you know, holding on the cover. And if you have the original screws, that's even better. But for some reason, a lot of those screws are missing from a lot of the foul units. Okay, and there you go. A completed Astro Infrared Foul Conversion kit from Bowl-Tronics. If you have any questions, just feel free to contact us either via email or just call us at 847-741-4500, or you can email us at info@bowl-tronics.com. Thank you.